All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful leg out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. All right. And what I want to get into today, is dealing with, the times that we are in, being wise in these times. All right. Because you have a lot of things that are happening. Things are happening quick. All right. This devil, okay, understanding he had but a short time. All right. And what we're going to start to see, is this devil, cause events to happen, to justify him, taking things to the next phase. Okay. Because what we've seen since Trump, all right, has been in the White House, okay, is that the elites are full throttle. They surrounded him, with Satanists, tech giants, okay, war hawks, okay, because it's about the agenda of the elites going forth, okay? So what we're going to continue to see is these staged events, all right, major psyops, major enchantments go forth, all right? And what we have to understand is that we're dealing with an enchanted society, okay? This is a society that's enchanted, okay? This is not the time. All right, let's go here. Let's read this in the book of Matthew, chapter 10 and verse 16. It says, "Behold, I send you as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves." All right, and you go into the characteristics of a serpent. Well, a serpent, all right, has patience. It knows how to blend in. Okay, a lot of times you will be around a serpent and not know it. All right. A serpent isn't drawing attention to itself. Okay. It's not taking any unnecessary chances. All right. And it's very calculated. You see, when you study, the serpent. All right. A serpent is crafty. You see, and there's a righteous way to be crafty, and we have this wisdom. All right. And we've been privy, to our understanding. Okay. The enemy, the devil that runs the earth. You see, the Lord has given us, a perspective, all right, of being able to see this devil for what it is and how he moves, all right, because the scriptures put us on game, and that's why you got guys that, get so caught up in the law, okay, they focus on mixed fabrics and, the fringes on everything, but they don't consider, okay, that this is a book full of wisdom, okay, that can be applied real time, like this precept here. I remember ISUPK, they mocked at the book of Matthew chapter 10 verse 16. They mocked their wisdom. You see, they boast in the law, but then they mock the wisdom of the scriptures, which ultimately, every precept is a law, when you go into it. You see? So we in the time we're applying wisdom real time, applying discretion real time is gonna be critical, man. Okay? And we're going to see the benefits of not being an open book, okay? As Jake has, put fringes on the work shirt, okay? His wife wearing fringes everywhere, the children wearing fringes to the daycare, okay? Just an open book. And we're going to see, okay, the benefits of not being wide open like these other guys, And there's nothing wrong with the fringes. You see, we wear fringes when we teach, okay? But Jake, made the fringes an idol, okay, and the standard of righteousness, you see, and they put themselves out there, okay. We're in the time when emotions are running high, okay. There's a lot of division, we're going into a time of civil unrest, okay, and at the end of the day, the Lord's going to be with his elect, All right. And we got to go through what we got to go through, you see. But not being wise, okay, can cause a lot of unnecessary strife, hell, and turmoil that could be avoided. Okay. So we in the time of being wise as a serpent. You go into this word wise, you see. Let's get this word wise in the Greek. You see Jake trying to be, these tough guys, Jake marching around with shields and okay, because when you operate outside of wisdom, you're operating outside the protection of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. You see, as we operate in wisdom, okay, and apply the scriptures real time, because our faith is in Yahweh Bashim Al Shai completely. Okay, we're not afraid of nothing that this devil got. Okay, but we're commanded not to be these tough guys. Okay, it says be harmless as dove. Why even put off, okay, this tough guy, persona, as if you're ready to go heads up with this devil, okay, in the flesh, man. Okay, doing push-ups and drills and, walking around with the shields. Okay, Jake used to have the sticks at camp, and you see, putting off like you're ready, all right, to go head up with this devil in the flesh. That's not wise. Okay, you're not only putting yourself in danger, okay, but everyone, all right, that's associated with you, man. Okay, and you're gonna see these super duper Israelites. You're gonna see, okay, why, starting with the apostles and elders, brothers have been warning of their behavior, man. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's get this word wise. Phronimos. All right, it says intelligent, wise, prudent, mindful of one's interests. Now you go to the strong definition. It says sagacious or discreet, okay, implying a cautious character. All right, while denotes a practical skill or acumen. Okay, so when you go into sagacious, all right, you go into the word sagacious, and what does it go into? It says having or showing keen mental discernment, okay, and good judgment, shrewd, okay. And when something is keen, that means that it's well exercised. You're skillful at it. You might have someone that has a keen ear for music. They can discern different instruments. In the track. The notes that is played in, because their ears have been, all right, conditioned to be keen, to be skillful in discernment of music. Well, we should be keen, all right, to the happiness in the earth. Okay, understanding the times we in. You see, we in the time to understand, all right, exactly what times we in and what we're dealing with. Like I say, the masses of the people are enchanted. They're operating from a position of being enchanted. Okay, these people are not normal. All right, we're not here to debate with these people. Okay, we're not here to get caught up in these back and forth in these conversations. Be mindful. All right, know how to be crafty in conversation. Okay, know how to understand everything, but play dumb. We need to. Okay, understanding what's going on, but we're not here to prove to these people what we know. Okay, some of you brothers and sisters might be new in the faith, and you hear something and you want to show what you know. We're not in the time for that. Okay, you want to try to, cut people and debunk people, and we're not in the time for that. All right, these people are enchanted. All right, and the emotions are high. Esau Edom is pushing a lot of psyops out here, man. Okay, and when you, all right, try to have any dialogue, all right, with these people, okay, you're dialoguing with someone that's programmed and indoctrinated. Okay, and as we know that most people are going to remain indoctrinated. Okay, there's only a remnant, okay, that's prophesied to be awakened. That's why we're constantly, you know, uh, told, instructed to deal with those that are like-minded. Okay, for the elect, it's not gonna take. All right, you're not gonna have to pull teeth to convince the elect. You see, you're not gonna have to get into these, these unending heated arguments to convince the elect. Okay, let these people have it. Let these people know everything. Okay, steer clear. You know, and we're in a time now to be isolated more than ever. You see, you're not in the time to just be out here wide open. You see, like I said, that open book. All right, telling people everything that you know. You're revealing everything to people you've only known for months. Okay, that's not wisdom. Okay, so we're in a time now. All right, we really, got to have, elite discernment as we're out and about. Okay, the way we operate on the internet, as brothers teaching, bring out, the news and particular things. You see, we gotta be mindful. Okay, this is when wisdom, okay, is precious, is in the clutch. You see, we in the clutch. Esau was pulling stats out of his ass and, making Jake the face, of violence. Okay, you got to be mindful. Okay, because these everyday people, remember, they're eating these things up. You see, remember, this is a very simple society that's heavily enchanted and indoctrinated. Okay, let's go here. And the scriptures give us all the game. What's the point of having all this game and not applying it real time? You see, this wisdom ain't for us to debate. This is for us to survive on, to live on. Jake, we want to show how much history they know and how many precepts they can link together in their vocabulary. Okay, but when it comes to applying discernment, Jake don't got it. Okay, this is what wisdom is for, and we're gonna get that. Proverbs 14 and what's this? Proverbs 14 and 12, and it says, 15. Yep, it said Proverbs 14 and 15. It said the simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well into his going. So there's a a, a, a mass crowd of simpletons, okay, that believe every word, okay, that's told to them through Esau's media, through social media, okay. Yeah, you got AI influencers now, okay, so people are enchanted more than ever. Now there's, people that's awakening and, speaking up on certain points, okay, but they're still enchanted. you know, they're just frustrated, with one or two things of this society, but they're still enchanted by the machine, okay? Because you got, the machine fighting against itself, okay? So you have a society where people believe every word. Like, we can see the tackiness of what this devil is doing. Okay, you look at these things and immediately you say, oh man, you can tell certain things are staged and fake, and you see the symbolism and particular things, okay? But then you have some people, they just gone. They don't have a clue, okay? They're just, every day they wake up and they just get more and more enchanted and indoctrinated, okay? To the point today, they don't even know what they fighting for. They don't know what they stand for. They don't know left, right, okay? So what would be the point, okay, of getting into, okay, a dialogue with these people, trying to, explain or rationalize things, okay? They they've been zombified. The American public has been zombified on a whole nother level. Okay, this is the place, okay, where the government, okay, has ran the most intense psyops, Okay, psychological operations on the masses, man. There's no one that's more enchanted than the American public. Okay, we have to understand that there's no one that's deeper into a delusion than the American public, man. Especially Jake. Okay, Jake is more lost than anyone. You see, and Jake, is going to play. It's playing right into the narrative. Okay, that Esau wants them to play into. You see, here it is. This devil's getting ready, to blame Jake on a whole nother level. And Jake is constantly giving this nigga, all right, ammunition to be blamed. Okay? So we've been separated, all right, and pulled out of darkness so we can be on the outside looking in. Okay? These people are caught up in it. All right? Even here, when you go to Proverbs 14 and 12, it says, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Okay? So these people, they really believe these certain ideologies, okay, is the right way. Okay? There's really people that believe, okay, in these different ideologies and indoctrination as the right way. Okay? Whether it's the right or the left, it's all ideologies of Satan. Okay? And it's rooted in lies. Okay? And the right have more, common sense principles. Okay? Because the left, the liberals, you see just a bunch of weirdos and, bug outs and, you see, freaks. Okay? So the right, they do have, more common sense, principles, but it's all rooted in Satanism. Okay? It's all rooted, okay, in Edomite supremacy. You see? Rebellion against, the true power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Okay? And the continuation of Edomite, all right, satanic imperialism, man. Okay? And you got to understand, these people have been indoctrinated to die and kill for these ideologies, man. Okay? People are on edge, their money tight, the economy is trash. Okay? So this ain't the time to just be getting into, these random debates and disputes and not being circumspect of the environment that you in and, out and you're not, circumspect. You see, just out, and about, drunk, not on your P's and Q's and, nah, man, this is the time to be strategic in how we move. Okay? Be as isolated as possible, man. One of the things, as I mature in this wisdom, in this faith, man, I enjoy being isolated, more than anything, man. Away from it all. You see, I enjoy that more than anything, man. You see, my own little space, okay, is paradise to me. You see, I get in, get out. Okay, hey, the brothers, hey, I don't have much of a, social life. I know every, brother different, but just how I've been moving lately, man. Look, I don't need much of a social life, okay? Because I truly believe we got forever to do everything, okay? So I don't, move with the mindset of got to be on the scene, or got to go here, or, nah, man, be mindful, brothers do what they do, but be mindful, we in different, brothers at different, stages in their life and the truth. So, brothers do what they do, but be mindful, man. Okay? Especially, once these Edomites, you might, you step out, Edomites get that liquid courage in them, especially these days as they, bringing back, all right, scientific racism, okay? Because Trump, you gotta understand, these certain characters that the elites put in front of you, man, these characters in themselves provoke certain demons on people and incite certain demons on people, man. Okay? And that Trump character incites boldness, all right, on these Edomites, men and women. Okay, so just be mindful, you know. Neighborhoods you go into, certain things, be mindful, you know. Like every day we should be moving with strategy, man, not just randomly doing anything, but having some type of strategy, man. Okay, so let's go here. Let's get this in Proverbs chapter 2. Okay, this is Proverbs 2 and 10. It says, when wisdom entering into thine heart and knowledge is pleasant to thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee. Okay, so we have to understand that this wisdom is meant to preserve us, man. You know, this wisdom prevents unnecessary strife and contention, unnecessary, mishaps. Okay, because through wisdom, we're able to have foresight, and we should always be 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of these people. Okay, with the wisdom we've been given. You see, so wisdom, all right, is supposed to create discretion, and discretion preserves us, man, from being in these awkward, okay, situations, man. You see, so that's the point. Just wanted to get into that. Hey, be wise in these times, man. It's a lot happening. So things are moving quicker. Okay, so we have to, keep our head on the spiritual swivel. Okay, so Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified once again, and give all praise and then glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kakwadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutations, hopefully, shalom.